All right, everybody, welcome back to Baxter County Roundtable. If my count is correct, this is episode 33. My name is Joe Bryant. They tell me I'm the host. To my right is Russ Gillis. Up, he's a host too. And
We
to,
got a host of hosts.
and to my left is Henry Campfield. He's candidate for sheriff, Baxter County Sheriff. Before we get rolling here, Russ, you want to tell us about our advertisers?
Yes, sir. I'm glad to remind everybody that the Baxter County Roundtable podcast is sponsored by Mountain Home Heat and Air, voted best in Twin Lakes area for 2 years in a row, 24 and 25. They're the largest Goodman dealer in the Twin Lakes area. Mountain Home Heat and Air was together with Goodman, two names you can absolutely trust. Goodman systems are made in America, just outside of Houston, made by Americans for Americans. They specialize in Dalkin mini split systems also. From new installations, duct cleaning, and everything in between, Mountain Home Heat and Air are the people you need to call for all your HVAC needs. Quality workmanship, affordable prices, financing is available. Give Kurt Lawrence and the folks out at Mountain Home Heat and Air a call, 425 HVAC. That's 870-425-4822.
Well, thank you, Russ. I think Mountain Home Heat and Air has been around a while, so they're reliable.
Yeah, they're not a fly-by-nighter, that's for sure.
Give them a call. They must be doing a good job. Okay, Henry, candidate for Baxter County Sheriff. I'll let you introduce yourself, and then we'll get into the fun
Sure,
stuff.
glad to be back. I've had the privilege of being on here a couple times. Like being here. Glad you all had me here. I think the podcast is definitely going in the right direction. So keep up the good work for sure. But I am Henry Campfield, Republican for candidate for Baxter County Sheriff. Been in law enforcement for 25 years. I was a previous candidate. I ran against Sheriff Montgomery in 22. So still running on some of the same things I ran on 4 years ago. Body cameras. I think everybody in the political world wants transparency. The best way for transparency is to put body cameras on your officers.
Yeah.
Currently, no battery.
None. We have no body cameras, no in-vehicle cameras, nothing in Baxter County. So I think the other candidates are starting to come on board with it. I know, but that's something that's going to happen. Canine program. I want to see a strong canine program back in Baxter County. I think we're going to get that no matter what happens. I think all the candidates are going to push for that. I think I have a special relationship with it. I was a canine officer for the county, and I also worked a canine for the federal side. I worked a bomb dog for the U.S. consulate in Iraq. So I kind of have a little more unique outlook on the program. So, that's something we want to bring back. Training, we're not getting enough of it in Baxter County. We're not getting enough of it, period. Our deputies are shooting one time a year. That's a skill that you lose if you don't do it.
It's definitely perishable.
We shoot, we need to shoot at least 4 times a year. We will shoot at least 4 times a year quarterly. It's just that's you want the best shot you can possibly get come to your house if they have to take that. That's it's such a scary world that we live in nowadays.
What does that shooting training involve?
So the state, we have a state requirement. The state requires us to qualify once a year. They call it a speed and accuracy course, but you're essentially standing on a line shooting a target. I think Baxter County right now, the state only requires 15 yards and in. I think that's what Baxter County is doing right now, into a target that looks like a bowling pin. I still like to use the OB-52 targets. I think shot placement is important, especially when you're training. So being able to put that on a target a man-sized target or something like that. It helps with your training. But that's a one time a year, 50 rounds. You gotta shoot at least a 400 to pass. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. But that's what the state has to have a minimum requirement, and that's what we're currently doing.
What do you mean a 400?
So each round is worth 10 points. So based on the target that the county currently shoots, if you're as long as you're in that bowling pin, you score. If you shoot outside of that bowling pin, it's a no score, so you're losing 10 points. On a B-52 style target, there's you've seen them. There's a 10 ring, a 9 ring, an 8 ring, and then it kind of works itself out. So as long as you score 400 points, you qualify. You don't want that 400 officer coming to your house when you need them. We've seen 90% shooters under stress that can't shoot accurately. So now you put an average shooter or below average shooter in there on a stress situation. So you have to do that shoot once a year. That's required by the state, no matter what. Then the other ones.
Is that something the sheriff would monitor?
Right. Yeah, and that's something that has to be done by standards. Those scores have to go to standards, and they're a pass fail. We keep score at Mountain Home because we have different certificates and levels. So an award pin, if you're an expert marksman, then you would get an award pin for that. So
kind of make it competitive.
Right, exactly. It keeps people interested in it. But then the other three shoots are more reality based. We've got to get an officer. Ambushes are up across our country against officers. There are officers right now, I promise you, in Baxter County, could not draw their weapon from a seated position inside of a patrol car. And we were going to find those officers one day, and that's a sad and scary deal. So we got to train. We got to train being able to draw from a seated position and then fight your way out of that vehicle.
Who does the training? I mean, I get it, the shooting part.
Our officers, we've got, so I do a very large portion of the training for Mountain Home. And then we have, we probably got 10 or 12 firearms instructors in the department. So we try to spread that training out, and everybody kind of gets involved and makes up, then we do active shooter training every year, which, we've done for 15 years, we've done in the schools. We've branched out from there, and now we're doing some exterior response. So it involves arriving from your vehicle, things that, officers don't think about. We want to get there, but then we're not thinking about everything else that's going on because we're not training it. But I mean, you imagine in an active shooter situation, you're going to get officers from all over. Everybody's running. Then you're going to get first responders, and the next thing you know, we've blocked ourselves in so tight that we can't get emergency personnel in there. So our training starts right there. Where are you going to position your vehicle to not only safely enter the building, but to allow other units to come in, and then working it all the way up to the finish, even to the point where we're starting to bring fire departments in with us now. So now, because we know the hospital's not going to respond to a hot scene. So now it's getting our fire departments involved. Hey, you guys are going to be the next ones behind us getting these folks to some medical help. So I think it's important, and I did it as chief in Flippin. My fire department trained yearly with us on active shooter scenarios. We're doing it at Mountain Home right now, where our fire departments is coming and training. We did a huge one at the college last year. We had everybody involved. So it's great, but that's the training we got to do here, and we have instructors to do it right here.
Now, do we have anything that's comparable to SWAT or?
So we do at the city level. We do not at the county level. We've been trying. We started about 2017. We started on the idea of making a multi-jurisdictional team for Baxter County. It's kind of fallen on deaf ears, and it didn't go anywhere. I was able to put a couple officers on it from Flippin, which kind of still classified us as multi-jurisdictional. But it's important right now. The 14th. We all know drugs are a huge problem in our county, across our state, across our country. The 14th Judicial Drug Task Force handles a lot of those cases. So we have an officer assigned to that task force. Baxter County has an officer assigned to that task force. If that warrant meets a certain criteria, our team serves that warrant. So it could be in Baxter County, it could be in Marion County, it could be anywhere in the 14th Judicial. Our team is responding to that and serving that. I want to make that a multi-jurisdictional team. Baxter County may not be able to afford to put 12 guys through specialized training and equip all 12 of them, but we can put 2 or 3 through specialized training. We can put 2 or 3 in the equipment they need, and now we can add those to that team. And we're serving. It's serving warrants. I mean, the sheriff's office is a big part of Baxter County. We need to have some officers on there to do it. It's great for the department. It's great for the officers. I've been a member of Mountain Home's special response team since 2009. I want to see it to continue to grow. We have, I feel, one of the best teams in especially in the north part of the state. We've grown our program to where now we have sniper elements. We have a lot of good things, and now if I can get a couple people from Baxter County on that team, and maybe somebody in Gassville wants to, maybe we can grow and pick somebody up, and now we're opening ourselves up to federal grant money. Anytime, especially here we've got the dams and everything like that. Those specialized units are important.
Yeah.
Well, it's also important in the fact that the more people you have from different outlying areas, they're more familiar with their area than if like just Mountain Home PD goes up to Camellia, okay, or wherever. You get people that are familiar with areas. They can tell you, okay, no, we don't want to approach from this direction. We want to come in from over here or whatever.
And I agree. That's why we push this alert style training so much. And the other reason is, then I know if I can get everybody in my area to come to that training, I know if and when something bad happens, we're all going to be on the same page. But I worked for the county for almost 8 years. I've never seen the inside of Norfolk High School. I've never seen the inside of Cotter. We're setting ourselves up for failure. We are setting ourselves up for failure. We got one uniformed officer in that school, and God forbid in a situation like that, you're not going to be putting out. Some of the information you're getting is not the most accurate.
Yeah.
But that's what we need to make sure we're doing, that yearly training in the schools. Trying to get into to some of these other bigger factories and places like that, so you can actually get a lay of the land and put the eyes on it yourself.
Is there any I don't know, like way to utilize constables, get them trained up so you can, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I never see constables being used. Maybe that's.
Well, and that's true. So, in some states, constables are huge, and in others they're not. Constables are constitutional positions. They have as much authority in their districts as the sheriff does in the county. That's why it's important to make sure that we've got good, solid folks running for constables, because they essentially have the full authority.
I mean, are they required to get any kind of training?
So
Or they just
actually not. But even the sheriff's not required to be a certified officer, because they're an elected official. It's not the greatest idea, but you don't have to. Now, I went to the academy with a couple guys that had been elected, and if they're elected, the state will actually pay for them to go to the academy. So, that's part of it. But yes, we can. We have a couple constables right now that do work a little bit, and they'll come to some of our trainings and do things like that. They mainly work kind of in a backup role. So if they hear a call come out in their district, they'll respond kind of as a backup to, which is great, especially in the county. It could be 30 or 40 minutes before a backup officer's there. To have that extra person there is.
There could be some other mundane, maybe, chores they could be doing to free, more experienced guys up.
And there is a way to do that. I think there'd have to be some logistics worked out. It's, making sure if they're going to help with reports or things like that, that they're using the same system. They know how to use the system, because everything is checked. Everything that we send up, all of our reports have to go through a checklist, and then they go to the state. And that's kind of how they track the stats for the states. So making sure, but I mean, under the Constitution, they have the right and the authority to work in their district.
The,
I don't think they're paid. In any
They are
way,
not.
right?
They are not.
So, but you would hope that they're enthusiastic just by
Right.
the fact that they're running.
Right.
well, in southern Arkansas, some of the counties down in southern Arkansas, they actually are used as law enforcement, from what I understand.
Yep.
So it depends on, you know, I guess a lot of it is how well manned is your police and fire sheriff's departments. If you're short, then you're going to rely on some of those constables.
Yeah, like there's some across the country. There's some constable departments that are full size departments, and they're running a lot of folks. But yeah, getting it's that's something that I actually ran for constable one time. Old John Dale Tyler in Gassville beat the brakes off of me, and won it. But it was a good time. But it's important to have good folks in those positions, because you definitely don't want somebody in there that is going to we don't want anybody abusing any power or going to get in there and get themselves hurt.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing is I say it we have a God-given right to carry a gun, but I think you also have a responsibility to know how to use it.
Yeah.
And know how to use it safely. So
Especially if you're showing up as a
100%. So it's got to be, and you got to be make sure it comes into now you're going to have to be uniformed. You're going to have to if you're going to Arkansas law says if you're going to run blue lights, they've got to be visible 360 degrees. You've got to have a siren, so you can't just put a light in your windshield and say you're covered. By law, you got to have 360 degree view of that. So, then you start dipping into your pocket. Some of that equipment's pretty expensive.
The one of the things is too many people don't think about it. A lot of people around know that back in October of 24, I went back to North Carolina after that hurricane. And when you have national emergencies or big time emergencies, whether it's a natural disaster or whatever, any kind of organization that you can inject into the system plays a huge role. Constables, fire departments, whether they're paid fire departments, volunteer fire departments, it makes no difference. You need more people that are accustomed to working with other areas, other agencies, other departments, to provide some guidance, because, number one, when you have tornado comes through here, okay, a lot of the residents, they're just overwhelmed. They walk out, some of the people out on Hand Cove there where I worked for a while, they walked out of their house and they just got overwhelmed. There's trees down everywhere on their roof, on their propane tanks across the road. They can't get out. It's like, what do I do? Where do I start? So any kind of organization you can put into that and say, okay, I need a crew over here to start cutting here. I need a crew over here to start doing this or whatever. Start delivering food. Make sure that people, get out and check on the residents. Make sure none of them are injured. If they are, get medical help to them or whatever. So, constables, fire departments, sheriff, police, everything that you can bring to bear on that is going to make life a whole lot easier and recovery a whole lot faster.
Oh yeah, I tell you, I was actually on the fire department in Gassville for both the ice storm and the tornado, and it was very eye opening. I worked for the sheriff's office, so my day job was that, and then at night I was in a fire truck driving around doing exactly that. Checking on, making sure people didn't need water or they could get out. It was that was a very long couple of weeks.
Yep,
Very long
yep.
couple of weeks.
Let me get back to the shooting. I was fortunate enough during my Navy days to run the Navy's Engagement Weapons and Tactics course for about a year. And the one thing that we taught combat shooting. You can take somebody that can just shoot bullseye after bullseye after bullseye standing there at a target, Now all of a sudden you make him run 150, 200 yards, dodging stuff, moving around and all this, jumping over stuff. hitting the deck for a little bit, crawling and jumping back up and running. And that gun is all over the place. He's breathing like a dying mule, and that gun is going every time he takes that big old inhale, that gun goes up. Okay, so I understand where you're coming from, and that is extremely important. And too many people don't think about that. When you get into a stressful situation, you automatically start breathing real heavy if you're not concentrating and haven't been trained to concentrate on your breathing. It does no good to run as fast as you can if it takes you 5 minutes to recover. Run at a controlled speed so that you still can be effective.
Yeah, I teach you move as fast as you can accurately shoot.
Yep.
If you're moving, there's times when you may have to move faster than that. But and that's a huge thing, and it's something we have to have. It's something we're missing in Baxter County, and it's going to happen under my administration. We are gonna train. We are going to have a physical fitness policy. These guys at any moment could be asked to fight for their life at any moment. When we initiated it at Mountain Home, I felt like I've done a pretty decent job over the years keeping myself in shape. I've worked a few contract jobs overseas where I had to be in a certain level, and the first time I grappled with two guys for 3 minutes, I thought my life was over. So it's just something we have to do, and I'm not saying I don't want anybody to take anything bad that I might be saying our deputies are out of shape or anything like that by any means. But we're not doing anything. We're not doing something. We're not doing something.
If you're relying
we're going
on
to get somebody
if
hurt.
you're relying on people to do it on their own, you're not relying on anything.
100%.
Okay,
And I actually brought that up. If it wasn't for the fact that I know I have to do a yearly PT test at Mountain Home, and then on top of that, I know I have to do another yearly PT test to stay on the SRT team. So I'd be sitting on the couch eating Oreo cookies at night, probably more often than I am now. So, having that little bit of encouragement, just that little bit, like I know I'm going to have to do this, maybe takes that step to taking a little bit better care of themselves. Unfortunately, law enforcement in general die young. You see guys work a long career, and 2 or 3 months after they retire, they go home, they sit on the couch, and they die. And that's not, we work a lifetime for a pension that we can't enjoy, and it's, our lives revolve around stress, high stress situations. We're not doing anything to take care of our mind and our body, and then we go home and we lose all that stress, and it's killing us. And it's, we as an administrator, I think you have to demand that you're taking some responsibility for the lives of your officers, and we've got to, if we're not initiating something, and I'm not saying if you can't meet this qualification you're getting fired. I'm saying just know that we're gonna have PT.
Well,
we're gonna meet once a month, and we're gonna roll around on the ground, and we're gonna do defensive tactics. We're gonna do things to make not only healthier choices for ourselves, but make us better in our job.
Yes, it benefits everybody.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, when you implement it, it's got to be phased in, because you can't just go out and I want you to go run a 5-minute mile.
100%.
But the thing about it is all of us are getting older, and once you get past 50, staying in shape is tough.
Oh, I'm a shape. I'm a shape.
Staying in shape is tough. Getting in shape after 50 is even tougher.
Oh, 100%.
And I mean, I'm not knocking any of our people either, but the thing about it is most of our people around here are middle aged. I mean, that's good in the fact that they're experienced, but it's bad in the fact that it's going to take them some time to get back into that shape. Whether it's running, wrestling around with a criminal or a potential criminal or whatever, especially some of these dope heads around, I mean, they get hopped up on
Oh, yeah.
stuff. They're as strong as two
Oh
men.
yeah, and their pain tolerance is gone. So
Yeah,
what
exactly.
normally what works on a normal person doesn't work on them.
I
So
understand some of them, they get superpowers.
oh yeah,
those
Yeah.
and
nut
that's what
guys.
and that's what we're working in Mountain Home on some defensive tactic stuff to help mitigate that. Where you see these videos all the time, and you're like, oh man, he just beat the people don't realize that's what it takes sometimes to
Yeah.
get a person like that under control.
Yeah.
But now we're learning different ways to do this, and now we can take care of a situation like that, and it doesn't look like you're just destroying this person. We get them down, we get them controlled, and then we wait for more and get them. So it's better. It's not only better for the officers, but it's better for the community. We're not having back in the old days it was you might have to hurt a person to get them to stop. Now we're learning some new control techniques that we can actually control somebody without having to use as much force as we had to in the old days, and it's we're seeing results from that.
Do y'all still do, or do they still do training on the baton?
So I think there might back when I went through, we still did we still did ASP training. I may be the only patrol officer when I'm not even a patrol officer anymore at Mountain Home, but I may be the only officer that still carries one. But I still carry an ASP baton. I still carry pepper spray. I haven't used it in 15 years, but I still got it on my. That was.
I mean, even in the Navy, before you started standing shore patrol, and you had to be an E5 before you could stand shore patrol, they put us through baton training. And most people don't realize that's actually a form of martial art to actually use it. It's called the Koga method of stick fighting, and it was developed by an LAPD patrolman up in Los Angeles. Used correctly, buddy, it is effective as it can be. And it's it always bothers me when I see somebody, the guys coming at a patrolman or with a knife, and he's slashing and stuff, and he pulls out his gun and shoot him. I'm sorry, man. They taught us how to disarm a guy with a knife, and I was just a second class, sailor standing shore patrol. But if you know how to use that police baton, you can disarm a guy with a knife just right now.
Yeah, they kind of went away from that baton and went more to the ASP style, which was collapsible.
Yeah.
But yeah, those days, those things, those old tools are phasing out. With the invent of tasers and things like that. But
Well, I don't know if this really applies to us here today, but boy, there's been some shootings in Minnesota. Are they not trained properly?
well, I
is
think,
that-
man,
or do we not have all the information?
yeah, well, we definitely don't have all the information. Yeah, I actually got in a conversation with somebody the other night about some of this stuff with ICE, and here's the problem. As a law enforcement officer, we have the right to protest. We have the right to do that safely and responsibly. When we start acting as mobs, and I tell folks, they're like, well, they're so brutal. They're just ripping these people out of cars, and I said, I want you to put yourself in their shoes.
Yep.
If I walked up to the car and said, sir, could you go ahead and step out for me? We need to detain you. You're here illegally. You're breaking the law. And they said, oh yeah, no problem. I'm sorry. I was been working on it, and went peacefully. We wouldn't have any of that problem.
That's
But the
fact.
problem is now it's mob mentality, and that's what's causing the problem. Is now law enforcement is having to act harder and strike harder because of this mob mentality. And
if you're putting up a fight,
right,
bad things can happen.
exactly. Because the bottom line is, I love what I do for a living. I hope I can go my whole career and never have to use my sidearm, but I train for it every day. And if put in that situation, I'm going home to my wife and kids. And I hope and pray that I've had enough training over the course of my career that I make the right choice and do the right thing. But we have got to stop allowing the mob mentality to take over. And that's a simple. Somebody said, "Are you going to support ICE if they come to Baxter County?" 100% we are. Mainly because I do not want. If one citizen gets hurt because we allow a mob mentality to fire up, we haven't done our jobs.
Well,
So,
another
and that's
thing,
just
too,
simple as maintaining.
the general population is Monday morning quarterback, and that's really not appropriate.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough situation all around, and
You got some guy that's got a gun on him, and he's fighting you.
And I hope brighter minds come together and we can get some of that stuff to settle down. But we've seen that all across the country for several years when stuff happens, and we just then it just goes extreme, and that's when people start, both sides, officers, people walking by and the folks instigating it are starting to get hurt, and that's the stuff we don't want to see.
Well, the thing about it is, like you said, somebody comes at you with a natural reaction. Somebody comes at you with a weapon. If you got a weapon, what are you going to do? You're going to use your weapon. And most all of us have the same mentality. If it comes down to you and me, you just had a bad day.
All right.
If I have the capability, you're going to have a bad day.
Right. Yeah.
Because I want to go home to mama.
Exactly. That's that's our natural instinct, and that's why and that falls on local law enforcement. We've got to be out there at trying to maintain some type of order and keeping those mob again, you let it grow a little bit, and that mob mentality just takes over.
It's more than mob mentality anymore, because these are paid protesters that are
That's right.
they are paid and they are trained to push law enforcement and all across the board, regardless of who they are. They're paid to push them to the brink, hoping that they will cross the line and do something that will generate more publicity for the movement, if you will.
And that's why training is so important.
Exactly.
Well, now we keep talking about training. What about K9?
So like I said, I think the K9 program is coming back no matter who gets elected.
Did we ever have?
We did. So I left Baxter County in 2007. I went to work overseas. My dog went to the city of Mountain Home. I was the last K9 officer at Baxter County. My dog went to Mountain Home. Mountain Home worked that dog for probably a year and a half, and they decided they were going to retire that dog and get a different one. So they returned that dog to Baxter County, and another officer picked it up for probably just right at a year or something like that. So that would have been in 2009, about the last time we had one. I know they're in the works right now of starting a K9 program up and bringing a dog in. I think what they're looking at is kind of a single purpose, just narcotics, which is great. That's a great start. I want to see patrol dogs. People don't understand what a dog is capable of. It's absolutely amazing what they can do. So that's coming back for sure. I want to see the program back like it was in the glory days. Back in the late '90s, early 2000s, we had a dog on every shift. Of course, you got to have the handlers to do that. You don't want to. The worst thing for a canine program is give a dog to a bad handler.
Do we have people qualified to train them?
So right now, I think law enforcement wise, I think there's only 2 trainers in Baxter County that have it. That's me and Jason Pace, who retired from law enforcement, but he's a trainer. Most of the training is done outside the department. Usually, whoever you purchase your dog from will supply that training. Now, it helps having somebody who's been there, done that, kind of worked it to help that program grow. But that program is important for a lot of things. Number one, the jail. That is a tool that can be utilized in there weekly, daily if you needed it. Putting in there. We find contraband all the time. Let's put. I mean, we can train a dog to smell a bed bug. I think we can find our contraband, utilizing them in there. And I've said before, Calico's been great about spinning dogs up for us if we have a missing person or we're searching for somebody who's fled from us. That's awesome, but that's 45 minutes. This time of year, an elderly person or a small child gets out, 45 minutes is life and death.
Well, did you say Mountain Home has dog now? Or?
Yeah, we have two now. Well, we have three. So we have one getting ready to retire that works in a school that actually my wife is that dog handler. So he's getting ready to retire, and they're going to replace that dog, but it's going to be utilized more in the kind of the school district, and they train that dog uniquely because not only does it do narcotics. We don't imprint dogs with marijuana anymore because it's just the legislation the way it is. It's but that dog used in a school is still imprinted on marijuana and black powder, so they could search for guns.
Now, are the dogs in town? Are they able to search for people?
Yes, so that they are what we call kind of green dogs, so they're new. But both of our handlers in town. Matter of fact, we had the Heartland Pharmacy break-in here just a few months ago. Yeah. We utilized one of the dogs to. The dog actually located the first guy, and then when he took off running, and I tackled him, but the dog actually located him first, and then as we went on, we were able to find the other two. So we do utilize it a lot. We've had them out a couple times. We'll get a call that my son ran out. We haven't seen him in 30 minutes. We'll put a dog on it, and we also have the ability. We have. Drone program at Mountain Home, which I'd like to see in Baxter County. That helicopter's awesome. Not something you want to lose because we were the first county to have it. But there's going to come a point when that program is not feasible anymore. And I would, that's like now's the time to start laying the groundwork for that drone program. We can put a lot of drones in the air for the cost of that helicopter.
Yeah. You can put a lot of drones in the air for the cost of operating.
Yes, yeah. So it's a huge, that's a huge program that we're building at Mountain Home that we can build in Baxter County pretty easy. Slowly, it's all a slow process, but we can get there with it.
Good deal.
Okay, how about body cams? Why doesn't Baxter County have them?
Man, I wish I could tell you that answer. I don't know. One of my candidates is kind of on the board now that he wants them, but we got to go slowly and look at it. I've started a body cam program. I know everything about it. I'm currently the administrator for our body cam program at Mountain Home. It is the body camera, in my opinion, is the next best law enforcement tool since the two-way radio. It's people are when I first got into them, we were all scared, like, oh man, they're after us, they're looking for us to mess up. And over the 15 years that I've been involved with body cameras, 9.5 out of 10 times those body cameras exonerate the officer. Yeah. They show exactly what they're doing. But there's just so many things. It not only does it keep the public safe, it keeps the officer safe. It's just, it's a program as a supervisor. Some part of my job was randomly reviewing their body camera footage. So if I start seeing a pattern of things, now I don't have to, why are we waiting for an incident to take place? I can say, hey, let's try working this a different angle. I'm noticing some things on here. Let's work on this. That's, and again, we give them a little bit of training, push them back in the right direction, and it's saving officers' careers. It saves the public. If a deputy right now gets a major accusation, that is going to be a full-blown investigation. Whether he's guilty or not, that's stress on him, that's stress on his family, that's stress on his career. And then, even if he's exonerated of that, guess how many people out there in that county are going to be like, yeah, I know he did it. He just got away with it, right? Because that's our mentality. It's like, oh, no, he got away with it.
That's a lot of people's mentality.
I'm super against surveillance, but in this case, it's good for everybody.
Yeah, it's now if
there's a lot at stake for
100%.
either side. So
You know, I tell the story. You know, I've been blessed in my career. I treat people pretty fair. I don't get very many complaints. I had a complaint filed on me 6 months ago. Um, if I worked for the county, I would have went into a full IA investigation and had have done all that. Being that I have a body camera on at the city, I got a phone call after it was over, and the phone call was, "Hey, just to give you a heads up, there was a complaint filed. You know, this is what we did. We reviewed your video. You're fine. Everything was great. Keep doing you." And it was over with. So there was no stress on me.
Yep.
There was no stress on my family, and it was a simple call. It was something really easy for them to look at. You know, it's a 4-minute video. Let's watch the video, because you can't. You know, some people think, well, they can audit those, or they can manipulate those videos. They can do things like that. That's the thing nice about using, you know, and there's probably is video out there that you can do, but you know, we use legitimate, we use Axon, which I'm a big fan of. They do a great job. It literally, it logs every time somebody opens it up to look at that video. If I make a copy of it to send to the prosecutor, it logs a copy was made by me, where I sent it to the point where if you FOI'd a video from Mountain Home and I send it to you, because that's part of my job duties at Mountain Home, and I send you that video, and 4 days later you call me and said, "Well, Mr. Campfield, you didn't send me that FOI request," I can not only pull that up where I sent it to you, I can show the date and time you opened it and looked at it. So it's great for chain of custody, because that's a piece of evidence.
Yep.
So it's marking. It tells you, we have to redact those videos. You know, there's certain things that unfortunately the civilian public's not privy to. They can't see ACIC terminals. They can't, if there's a juvenile involved, we blur,
Yeah.
So we have to do that. But it shows you, it documents what you actually redacted. So it
takes what would have been a long drawn out process and makes it pretty straightforward.
Again, it's a piece of evidence. So when I go to trial, especially on some of these more serious cases that we're dealing with now, when I go to trial, that's a huge piece of evidence that we're getting to show, because you're seeing how that person was real time. You're not seeing sober Billy Bob that's sitting on a stand. You're seeing Billy Bob that I was rolling around with on the ground 2 months earlier. Right. So it's an amazing piece of equipment. It's a tool that's needed. I'll use this term for just lack of a better, but sometimes there's things that we do are just the cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Well, plus, in the long run, it's probably going to save money.
Oh yeah, it's the cost of doing business. We have to do reports. We need a reporting software. We carry a gun for the protection of ourselves and everyone else. We have guns. Camera's part of that equipment. We're not going to do away with the radio because they got more expensive next year.
That's right.
Doesn't take too many lawsuits, losing too many lawsuits to pay for body cameras.
Yeah,
Well,
100%.
Plus the time in court.
Oh, everything. They're a great piece of equipment, and that is one thing I have said from day one. If I get elected March 3rd, 2026, January 1st, 2027, there will be body cameras waiting for me to walk into the office and issue out. We're going to make it happen. It's going to happen.
I think it's a good idea, and
Me too.
And even like the K9, I think there's an initial investment, but in the long run, you're going to save.
Well, that's it, and like when I was a K9 officer for Baxter County, we had it set up where if my dog was used in the course of that arrest, even if it was a misdemeanor, because back then we did a lot of marijuana arrests, I would write K9 fine on that ticket, and we had it set up with the court where $25 of their fine payment went to the K9 program. And that's how we started our budget. That's how we started our budget.
Yeah.
Or if you're searching for a human, human foot on foot, I don't think it's going to take a lot longer than dog on foot.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
So
100%.
now you're freed up sooner.
Yeah, 100%.
Well,
Well,
that dog run down a perp,
Yeah.
a whole lot faster than he or
Yeah.
any of our deputies or anybody.
And we just, I mean, and I've talked with you guys several times, and you kind of know where I stand, and I kind of want to get this, and we're probably getting close, but the folks that are watching and the folks that are still torn on what, oh, we've got 3 good candidates, we got 3, there's one thing that sets me apart from all the others. We all want to be hard on drugs, all 3 of us. 2 of us want to be show true transparency by initiating body cam policy right from the start, and one of us wants to truly affect crime, and by doing and I mean by affecting the heart and mind of the people, by trying to bring programs in. We're seeing this across the country. The United States have the highest per capita incarceration in the world by leaps and bounds. I don't know if it's going to work. I wish I could sit here and tell you I think it's going to be 100% successful, but if I can change the heart and mind of one inmate, I've affected crime overall. In the next month, if I can affect the heart and mind of one inmate, I've affected crime overall. And it's not costing us anything, because we got groups out there that are willing to come into the jail. Mm-hmm. They're willing to put on some of these drug classes. Sheriff Montgomery made a post a couple weeks ago, posted the arrest numbers for 2025. And I sat there and kind of was a little dumbfounded, because there were so many praises. Sheriff Montgomery, you've done an amazing job. No, your deputies have done an amazing job because our arrests are up. But I don't think I'm a successful administrator if I'm posting that our arrests are up. A successful term for me will be when I can post that our arrests are down, because our crime rate is down, because our recidivism rates are down, because we're doing what we're supposed to be doing as human beings, trying to change the heart and mind of the people. That'll be a successful term for me. Yeah. And that's my whole goal is, I believe I've been called to do this. I believe 1,000% that I'm the right man for the job, and if you take anything away from me is knowing that is what sets me apart from the other 2 candidates. We all want to arrest a bad guy. We all want to hold him accountable. But while we got them and we're holding them accountable, let's try to change their minds. Let's try to change their habits. Let's you treat a criminal, you treat a person like a criminal, they're going to be a criminal. That's all they're ever going to be. Some of them we're going to have to throw into the jail. There's people out there.
Our original subject matter tonight, as a matter of fact, but our other guest wasn't able to make it. But we'll have to get together and.
Yeah, 100%. We got it. We just got to do something, and I don't want anybody to take it like, oh, he's going to be easy on the inmates. He's going to be no. I want to hold people. I want to hold criminals accountable, but I also want to try to affect their heart and mind.
Yeah. The thing about it is if you keep doing the same old thing, you're going to get the same old results. End of story. Yeah. If you treat that criminal like he's a criminal, and every time he comes back in, you keep treating him like a criminal. Like you said, he's going to be a criminal. If sooner or later, you got to try to break that cycle.
Exactly.
And it's going to take something different, whether it's John 3:16 Ministries or whoever. There's, like you said, there's a number of organizations around that are more than happy to come in and do that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be, and I hope folks see that, and I think a lot of folks are seeing that. But we're going to do good things, man. I just ask you guys for your support. Early voting starts February 17th. Hopefully everybody got out and got registered. I think today was the last day.
Yes.
Yep.
So got registered. I think there was 7,000 people that voted in 22 when I ran against Sheriff Montgomery. I sure hope we can double that this year and get some folks out there to vote. I know we've got some meetings set up with some younger folks in town. My wife and I are, that's our, we like the young people. We want to, I've still got 2 young kids in school. I want to see some of these younger folks step up. Somebody's got to replace us. And right now there's nobody stepping up. So,
yep.
Hopefully we're encouraging them to get out and vote and do some good things.
Awesome.
That's true.
Well,
Good deal.
is that all you got for today?
Man, I could talk for another 2 hours, but
you
No.
talked-
You know.
you did good.
No,
You filled
no,
up
we're not going to go there.
You filled up the schedule pretty good. Russ, what do you got?
That's about it, man. I tell you, he just burned through all of my questions and
I had
everything.
questions written down and was writing them down as we were going, and he'd answer them before I got a chance
Yeah,
to get to them.
I mean, he kind of knows our game plan. I think this
I've-
being the third time
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
he,
but-
he
and,
knows
you know,
our
and
game.
I-
Well, I don't know why these other guys don't want to.
And I kind of watch you. You know, I watch you every week, so I'm learning. I'm kind of learning a little bit better now, so I'm a little more prepared. A little more prepared.
You got the
Hey,
stuff.
speaking of that, we have another debate coming up in February. I strongly encourage everybody out there, come, listen. Don't be told who to vote for. Come listen, make up your own mind. You know, I think the debate that the Republican committee put on was amazing. I think some folks' eyes were opened, and we want to continue that. So
Where is this
it's
next
at the food bank. I believe it's February 11th.
KTLO's been advertising it.
Yes,
so
yeah,
if
it's a
you- if,
KTLO's event. I think they're doing the county judges at 9, the sheriffs at 10 that day. So, but it is for the first time I've ever seen KTLO. It's a live, open to the public event. Normally, it's just at the studios with some phone-in questions and stuff like that. So, you know, come out, fill the place up.
Well, I guess we had to put the pressure on them there that come do
I like
it live.
and you know what? I honestly believe that was done because of this group. To see the feedback that folks got there, and it's been sometimes the good old boy system rules out and sometimes it doesn't.
Well,
and seeing people face to face, hearing what they have to say live, kind of pushes some of that good old boy stuff out the door, which is what we want. What we want. So.
Yeah,
Well,
those
I,
type of events too, the constituents can actually come face to face
100%.
with you afterwards or whatever.
Yeah, I was just looking at our podcast, our Facebook information today. We're averaging about 70,000 views a month.
Wow.
Somebody's actually putting in a comment, doing this or doing that and stuff. So, yes, the audience is growing. When we first started, the Republican committee had about 300 followers. We're at 866 now and growing. People are understanding that, they can tune in here and get information they're not going to get anywhere else.
Well, I'd like to extend an invitation to all the other candidates that come and join. This is
Yeah.
not just for Henry.
Nope, it's
The
not.
other sheriff candidates are welcome to show up.
Anybody and everybody. I
Here,
called
it's
one today. Unfortunately, he
invitation.
couldn't make it, but we'll keep asking.
Before you close your book, would you like to tell us about?
Mountain Home Heat and Air?
Yes.
Yeah, good old boys up at Mountain Home Heat and Air up on 5 North, Kurt Lawrence. Twin Lakes area, largest Goodman dealer. Voted best in the Twin Lakes 2 years in a row, 2025 and 2024. So if you got HVAC needs, and by golly, if you got a heater, it's on the blink now.
Bet a lot of people did
you know,
this
you're,
past week.
you need to be dialing 911. But yeah, give them a call.
Okay.
870-425-HVAC.
Awesome. Thank you. Few announcements. Baxter County Republican Committee normally meets last Tuesday each month. This week, we will meet the 5th because we missed last month due to the weather. And then we will also meet on the 24th of this month.
Yep.
Other announcements, Quorum Court, first Tuesday each month, 5:30 p.m. at the Baxter County Courthouse.
That's tomorrow night.
City Council, first and third Thursday, 5 p.m. at City Hall. City Planning Committee, second Monday, 1 p.m. at City Hall. County Planning Committee, second Tuesday, 11 a.m. Baxter County Courthouse. That's County Planning Committee. A&P Advertising and Promotion, third Thursday, 3 p.m. City Hall. School Board, third Thursday, 6 p.m. School Board. That's on Rodeo Drive, Administration Building. And still don't have any information on Public Safety Committee, the old Airport Commission. I think they meet on an as-needed.
It's about once a quarter. They're meeting. I was up there a week before last. They meet about. They're trying to meet once a quarter,
So,
but they'll put the announcement out. But you can also go on the website, the airport website, and they'll have it on their calendar.
okay. And once again, makeup meeting for Baxter County Republican Committee this Thursday at 6 p.m. Sorry.
6
At the
p.m. But
VFW.
6 p.m. But we are resurrecting the Young Republicans chapter here in Baxter County. At the state committee meeting back in October, I guess it was, I spoke with the state chairman of the Young Republicans for Arkansas, and been working with him, and we are getting it resurrected, and I'll be putting out the information Thursday night, 5:30.
5:30. Awesome. Okay. That's it for this week's meeting. Thank you, Henry.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you, Joe.
And thank you, Jay. Back behind the
And,
hardware.
and thanks to everybody out there that tunes in tonight or throughout the week.
And we'll be back.